Hi, and welcome to the Unhinged History Podcast, the podcast where two compulsive nut jobs joined forces, became friends, and started word vomiting history stories upon the other one. And the other one stands there and takes it. And then we switch spaces and allow the other one to vomit upon ourselves.
God, we're gluttons for punishment.
Look, I'll deal with what I have to deal with just to be able to get this story out.
I mean, honestly, yeah, fair. If I've got to listen to Terraria again, I suppose.
I mean, it is spooky season, and I did find something. You're
Is there going to be
welcome,
ectoplasm in
and
this
I'm sorry in
story?
advance. No, not ectoplasm. But we shouldn't really worry about what my story is because you go first. And
You want to tell
so,
people our names?
I'm Teresa, and that,
I'm Angie.
welcome. Nearly 150 episodes, and we've gotten this in. We figured this part out,
We know how to say our names most of the time without interrupting the other.
right?
We've done it. We've peaked, y'all. Well, um, okay. You know what? There's no way to start my story off, so I'm just gonna go if you're ready.
I mean, that's why I was like, you should go first, and we should quit talking about what substance my story may or may not have,
Oh
because
yeah, okay.
it's going to be 30 minutes till we get there. So this will be a great
All right.
callback, but we have to abandon ship to get there.
All right, let's go. My sources are 360 on history. It's an article by Saima Beige, March 5th of 2025. Agnes Sampson, the first victim of the witch trials. Um, this
Oh,
this is not actually a source that I used, but a source that I found really interesting, so I thought other people might be interested in as well. The National Archives of Scotland has a witch's confession that is beautiful. Like the writing is beautiful, the words are not. Um, News from Scotland, spelled Newes, is the earliest tract on Scottish witchcraft. It's written around 1591 and is provided by the University of Glasgow. It's pretty stinking cool to see. But also again, words are pretty. The font is pretty. The words are not. There is a Mental Floss article by Bridget Katz from October of 22 called Agnes Sampson, the quote witch who confessed to plotting against King James VI. Historical Royal Palaces, which is one of my favorite sources, has a write-up on James and Anne of Denmark. There is a BBC bite size called Case Study James VI and the North Berwick Witch Hunt, and a historic UK.com North Berwick Witch Trials. So, if you can tell, I'm talking about American history here. No,
yeah,
it's all
sure. Right.
Scottish.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little backstory here. Last week, I finished a book called The First Witch of Boston by Andrea Catalino, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And this book's about a woman called Margaret Jones. She was the first woman executed for witchcraft in Boston, or rather, this was the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1648. So I was originally thinking that I was going to do my story on her, but then I realized I would actually be really sad if you beat me to my current topic. So I decided I might do her later, but in the meantime, I really want to do the story.
So what you just did was mention her name and said dibs, and then went to
Pretty
another
much.
story.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. I'm just calling out
Whatever.
your bullshit.
But here's the thing. Even if I tried to do her story, there's not a ton of evidence about it. So it would be like a 5 minute story. Um, so there's that. So then I remembered this other topic. Like I was like, oh yeah, I completely forgot that that's an option. So I decided to do a little research when it hit me that James the Sixth or the first, depending on which country you're standing in, has this really interesting story. So I started to poke around and was reminded of the North Berwick Witch Trials of 1590 and 91. So that's what I'm going to give you. And you will recognize some names, I promise. So, King James, I swear he's relevant to this
I was
story.
about to say I recognize that name. So
Yeah,
far we're off to a start.
we're doing great. Okay, so he is the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, right? But he basically becomes king in 1567 when she's forced to abdicate and he's just over a year old. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. It's 1589, and he needs to marry like a woman. Like
I like how you clarified. Like, obviously, it's not a chicken.
yeah, well, because he had a soft spot for the fancy boys. So, but like legacy, you need to continue the line and all that. So you've got to marry a woman. So enter Anne of Denmark. Denmark. James and Anne get married by proxy in August of 1589. Anne sets sail for Scotland in September. Not once, not twice, but at least three times. And she is stopped by bad weather each time. So she finally gets going, and then her entourage, like her fleet of ships, endures the biggest storm in known memory. So she's basically sort of marooned in Norway for a little bit. Like these ships aren't going anywhere because of how blasting this storm is. Now, James, on the other hand, he is staying at this gorgeous private castle called Seton Palace, and it has these beautiful clear views of the Leith Harbor. Now, this is the harbor that Anne is supposed to disembark from her fleet. But these storms, they've obviously caused major problems, right? And it is her getting there is taking substantially longer than the original planned voyage. And what I can only describe as an absolutely romantic gesture, James and 300 of his besties set sail to retrieve her himself. Because if she can't make it to us, maybe the storms won't stop us
It's like,
getting to
when you're
her.
traveling on the highway, obviously northbound's a little rocky, but maybe if,
Right? Yeah, I think that's got to be what he's thinking. So they also experience like the worst storm ever, and their fleet is battered to hell and back.
oh, shocker.
So I know, right? So they eventually get together. Like they're finally in the same place at the same time, and in the midst of what's going on, James and Anna they have what you would consider their honeymoon. They travel a bit of Norway. They make it back to Scotland. And in the meantime, Denmark is dealing with this legacy of witches who can command the weather. Like, the weather itself is beholden to these women. Like, apparently, this has been a long-standing belief amongst Danish people that there are witches that can control the storm. So, there's a Danish minister of finance. He is a man called Christopher Valkendorf. At the same time as like these thoughts are swirling about Danish witches, he's accused of under-equipping the ships for the storm. So he's got that, and that's not looking great. He's accused of under-equipping these ships and like very unprepared for the storm, and so he's a little bit shaky on things. And then sort of points the finger a little bit at the Danish admiral, a man called Peter Monk, which I'm going to be honest is like a terrible name for an admiral in my opinion. And
So wait a
the
minute.
two of them,
You would look at him and be like, "You can't be Admiral, your name sucks."
you need a better name. Doesn't sound like you don't sound like an admiral at all. That's just me. That's just me, okay? But it is
You
a
married
fun
a dude with
name
two first
nonetheless.
names. I mean,
I did marry. I have three first names when you think about it.
and you gave your kids multiple first names as well.
Yeah, what was I supposed to do?
I First one is Campbell, second one is Anderson.
Okay, you're right. I blew it. I'm sorry. Anyway, but also my husband's not trying to be a Danish admiral here, so we got that going for me. Now, these two guys are both sort of oh, I should state, I should back up a little bit and say the Danish admiral, Mr. Monk, he's accused of not actually really knowing how to do his job, like in the simplest terms. And so the two of them are sort of looking at each other when it hits them. Oh, we could just blame the witches. So they do.
I
Like
mean,
the
I
only
like a good
logical thing,
scapegoat.
right? They collectively blame this group of women in Copenhagen of casting spells to raise the bad weather because why not, right? Now, according to historian Gareth Russell, who has this amazing book coming out in the US called Queen James, there is also this belief that witches can like fast travel. So the storm basically follows them home to Scotland, because of course it does. What I find to be really funny about this belief is that if Witchcraft in the way that they're saying is possible is real. And these women are in fact witches and they can fast travel. Why are they being captured?
Because they didn't know that they didn't know they were getting caught.
I, clearly. So there's an investigation and it's called for in Denmark, and people are tortured and they're kept under these awful conditions, and a woman called Anna Coldings names five other women as witches, and they all admit that they had seen the devil himself climb up the keel of Princess Anne's ship, and like begin to cause problems on the ship. And now this, mind you, is the ship that is supposed to carry her to Scotland. So, long story short, here, Coldings, as well as 12 other women, are then burned at the stake in 1590, which is unfortunate to say the least.
Right.
Um, it is really interesting to point out Anna Coldings was the wife of a nobleman who had previously had a bit of a row with the admiral.
Surprise,
So,
surprise.
right now, the thing that I find really interesting about this is she is a noble. Like, she's not just some backwater healer that we often find in witch trial stories, right? Like this
Well,
is a woman who had good standing within her community.
this means she's going to have her lands up for being seized. There's a money aspect. This is just
There
like
has
now.
to be,
If somebody's
right?
if somebody's ended, it's like, what's the motive? Is it love? Was it money? What we tale as old as time. We're going to off people for the same reasons today we did 500 years ago.
Right. So just keep that in the back of your noodle, I guess, because I thought it was really, really interesting. Now, I do have to take a quick sidebar and like give you a little snapshot about James at this time. He hears all of this, of course, right? Like this news travels to him. But he also hears that there's a plot on his life. So he's pissed because now there is a threat to his new wife, but he is also dealing with the paranoia of a possible assassination attempt on him. Now, what we need to understand about James is that while he is wonderfully educated and considered this great intellectual of his time, he is also dealing with some very real mental games. Like there have been attempts on his life since before he was born. So when he finds out that this is happening, that there has been this supposed call for his assassination, um, I think any normal train of thought he would have had goes right out the window for him, and it's obviously witches. So he basically, for lack of a better way of describing this, decides to host his own witch trials at home.
But that
Now, this is
goes.
done, right? Now, this is done because at the same time as him going out to get his wife and returning, there is this little town called Tranent, and it's in East Lothian. Coincidentally, this is also the
East
seat
where?
of East Lothian. So Lothian, Lothian. It's a part of Scotland.
Okay, about to say spelling it didn't really help me locate it.
It's I don't want to say it's a county. I'm not exactly sure how they name the province, but that's the area that it's in. This is the seat and the home of Seton Palace, the palace King James was staying at while he waited for his bride to arrive just a little while sooner, right? Now, David Seton, the guy who like runs the joint, is super loyal to the king. But he has started to become pretty suspicious about one of his servants. So, like, James comes to visit, he's waiting for his wife. James leaves to go collect his wife, and in the meantime, all of this stuff starts like becoming obvious to David Seaton. This young woman is called Galis Duncan.
Oh, here we go with another Claire Fraser bit.
Yeah, I was like, if she does not get this, I'm going to be so upset. So locally, she is known as a healer. However, according to Seaton, she frequently disappears at night, and he can't figure it out. But it's likely because she is assisting in like midwife duties. Like she's learning the trade. She is probably a young woman, like a late teen, early 20s. Like so she's young. And she's learning the art of midwifery, and he can't really figure out where she's going, so obviously she's a problem. She gets arrested and tortured with a device with the really fun name of Pillywinks.
That sounds like Kids, we're gonna play Pillywinks. No, you
It
didn't
sure
eat all your
does.
vegetables. We're not playing Pillywinks.
It sure does, but I can assure you it's not cute and more closely akin to thumb screws.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh. Yeah,
yeah.
kids don't play with
She,
those nowadays.
no, not typically. We also don't have tiny guillotines on our dinner table anymore either. I mean, really, where have all the fun toys gone?
Hasbro, if you're listening, we've got ideas.
We would love to have our tiny guillotines back. Thank you so much. So, the other thing that Duncan is probably being subjected to is sleep deprivation. One of the like go-to forms of torture, investigative methods that witch finders and witch trial participants would do is subject these women to like days of sleep deprivation. So you're in pain and you also haven't slept, and they're forcing that upon you. Like they're making it impossible for you to go to sleep. Um, Additionally, once she's inspected, it's discovered that she bears the devil's mark on her throat. Now, in news from Scotland, like I mentioned earlier, this is a pamphlet that's like going around at the time and sort of telling everybody what's going on, which makes it a really cool first person source. The pamphlet says, quote, Gaylis Duncan was tortured with the pillywinks on her fingers and by binding or winching her head with a cord or rope. She did not confess until her torturers declared they had found her devil's mark, it being believed at the time by due examination of witchcraft and witches in Scotland, it hath lately been found that I believe the word they're saying is devil, but it is spelled Diuell, and I'm unclear. I'm assuming that is the Scottish term for devil, doth generally mark them with a privy mark. So at this point, Gail Sankin, of course, confesses and then proceeds to name other witches from both Edinburgh and the East Lothian area. She says these witches are behind the attempt to sink the king's ship. She's convicted and executed by being strangled and then burned because double tap, you can't kill him once, you got to kill him twice.
I mean, I respect the thoroughness, if nothing else. Literally
Right?
nothing else.
Literally. Now, some of the others that are accused are Agnes Sampson, Agnes Thompson, Dr. Fian, which is goes by the alias John Cunningham. I'm unclear why. Barbara Napier and Effie McCallahan, to name just a few of them. In total, there's around 70 people that are implicated in this case. And you can imagine that most of these are tortured in the process. Now, up to this point in time, most witch trials are sort of handled like locally with like the local magistrate or however your form of government works. It's not handled on a greater level than that. But James is not having any of that. And so he orders the accused to be brought to him in Edinburgh so he can be personally involved in their interrogation, which is like completely unheard of and the first time a royal is involved.
So good news, you
Now,
get to meet the king. He's super excited to see you. Bad news.
you're gonna love his
Excitement
clothes.
is both positive and negative, and we typically refer to the positive connotations. I'd say he's more super pissed.
Yeah. Now, Agnes Thompson gives this super detailed story saying, quote, a coven with as many as 200 other witches that had met the devil in the Kirk of North Berwick had come and how he had instructed them to use spells and throw a dead cat into the sea to create a great storm which was intended to waylay King James' ships as he traveled back from Denmark with his fiancée Anne. Apparently, the devil had told the witches that the king is the greatest enemy he hath had in the world. Okay, so King James hears this and he is like, "Well, obviously, I'm God's chosen. Clearly,
Yeah, I'm the favorite.
like you're not wrong, Miss Thompson." Um, Now, Dr. James Fian, he's the local schoolmaster. He has his legs put in boots, which basically this was a brand new form of torture to me when I was reading this. I had no idea that this was a method. But this basically means that his legs are put into these like super tight clamps and then wedges are of wood are hammered into them.
Oh,
Of Yeah, right? Eventually, this crushes his legs, and once that's done, the king and council decide he would be made an example of. So they burn him at Castle Hill in Edinburgh in late January of 1591. Just as a way of, like, I don't know, behave, I guess. Now, then there's Agnes Sampson, and she is really interesting in my opinion. She is this healer who initially had denied the charges brought against her. That was until she is completely shaved, bound her head with rope, which caused a pain, quote, most grievous, and then inspected for the devil's mark. So uh, she is victimized in the worst sort of way. Eventually, they discover the devil's mark in what they find as, quote, upon her privets.
So they investigated thoroughly.
Thoroughly. And so you can imagine with this sort of humiliation that she is experiencing, she confesses to whatever they say. Like, sure, I'll tell you whatever you want to hear, right? I'll create a great story for you. The Mental Floss article gives a really good description of her story, saying, quote, on Halloween night, she claimed 200 witches sailed to a church in North Berwick, a seaside town in the county of East Lothian, near Edinburgh. There they danced and sang until the devil appeared in the guise of a man. He proceeded to bend his bare bottom over the church pulpit and demand that the assembled witches kiss his buttocks in sign of duty to him, which they did. It goes on to say that Samson also confessed to a nefarious plot to murder James with black magic. She said that after the king sailed aboard in 1589 to marry Anne of Denmark, the North Berwick witches baptized the cat, bound it with a dead man's bones, and tossed the animal into the sea, creating a hex that caused severe storms to plague James's journey. The said witch declared that his majesty would have never come home safely from the sea. Now, for his part, James appears to be pretty skeptical about most of this until supposedly Anne whispers to him the private things that him and his wife talked about on their wedding night.
No, see, that part's great. I'm glad that he was skeptical about baptizing a cat, which is a fate I wish on most people. Oh, you piss me off? May you baptize cats today.
Like, what? Uh, Unfortunately for her, that seals her fate and she is strangled and burned. Several more of the accused would lose their life in similar ways. Now, this happened over the course of roughly 6 months. It's believed that those who were not executed died of their injuries related to the torture that was inflicted upon them. The North Berwick trials were the first in a series of witch trials and panics that swept through Scotland during the 16th and 17th centuries. These events convinced King James that witches were real and they were a threat, and that's when he started his work on the book Demonology that would first be published in 1597. And I have a very charming piece of art if you would like to see it.
Um, always, always.
This one is quite a doozy. I'm not sure if it's.
It's
Wait, I'm
loading.
gonna have to scroll up and
You're
down.
gonna need to give
Okay.
it a second. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is a full image. Scroll back up. Okay, so she's
Yeah.
showing me an image. It's high up in a canopy. Scroll up. Don't scroll down.
Oh, I thought you
Scroll
said scroll
up.
down. Sorry. There you go. There. That's the
I
top.
think I did say scroll down, but I used the word don't in front.
Whatever.
So you see like up high in the treetops, so there is a naked woman riding a goat backwards. She's got a pitchfork that has some sort of cauldron in it that is roasting something. There's like legs sticking out, flame or smoke.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
it is a
gnarly.
very intense thing. Everybody looks like they have not like there's a bunch of just nudity. You can scroll down now. Um,
Nudity everywhere.
yeah, lots of naked women
Very
with
naked, very
long
yeah.
nipples, the
Yeah, the one,
longest of
yeah.
nipples. Um,
Well, that was clearly her devil's mark.
or the fact maybe she's breastfeeding.
She looks to be elderly.
But if you've got digits sticking out of your mammaries,
I knew this
Okay,
picture was just going to mess with your brain for the next forever, and I'm not sorry
no,
because Terere.
you're right. This
Yeah,
this image is haunting.
yeah. It's gnarly, but this is supposed to be, my understanding is this is of a description of the debauchery that occurred to make the storms that caused James and Anne's ships to be waylaid. Now, not that it matters because he allowed this to happen in the first place, but later in life, he sort of recanted on his stance on witchcraft and was like, well, maybe they weren't actually um doing the things they said. But like, this is years later by that point, and you already condemned him to death. So there's that.
Yeah, you can't go free them from their grave and be like, all right, you've served your time.
Where's that cat in the dead man's bones? Maybe we can get them back. I Yeah. So that is just a brief overview of the North Berwick Witch Trials. There's so much more history that surround it and surround the time, but I thought that would
Well,
be just a fun little way to torture people. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
I appreciate that. You're not sorry. Let's don't lie. We've
No,
been
I'm
together
not.
for 144 episodes. We don't lies do not become us.
Yeah,
Um,
now is not the time.
I am going to tell you about the Lady of Crescent Lake.
Of Crescent Lake?
Correct.
Is that what you said?
Yep,
Okay.
Crescent Lake. My sources,
I can't say that sounds
historylink.org.
familiar.
True Crime, The Lady of the Lake by Mavis Amundsen. Olympic National Park, The Lady of Crescent Lake. Nation's Vacation, Spooky National Park Experiences this Halloween. Seattle Terrors, Olympic National Park. So
Okay,
if you
let's
have
go.
no idea, we are sticking to the Pacific Northwest for this one. We are headed to our national parks, and I did not include the National Park Service.
My God, are you okay?
I don't even mention syphilis.
Damn. Sorry, Alessandro.
We're falling down.
I bet you James had syphilis.
One can only
I,
hope.
I, I don't know, but maybe.
Okay, so Crescent Lake in Olympic National Park, for those playing at home, it's apparently no stranger to bloody stories. There's a legend of two local tribes that a bloody battle beneath Mount Storm King happened, that the mountain became angry. It broke off a hunk of rock at its peak, and the mountain threw into a valley over the battlefield. And the rock killed warriors. It dammed up the river, and that's how the Crescent Lake was formed.
Okay, that's a hell of a story already. Okay,
And then generations of indigenous peoples wouldn't go near the lake because of the legend.
smart.
They also had this belief that Crescent Lake never gave up its dead.
Ooh, okay.
And
There's
the
a lake like that in Michigan.
hmm hmm
Okay, okay.
now the lake held on to its dead until the Lady of the Lake surfaced in 1940. Do, do, do,
Okay.
do, 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 do. Okay, are
Does
you
she
ready?
have a knife and is she handing out government?
Handing out government?
Yeah, I'm quoting Monty
Oh,
Python.
oh, sorry. Arthur, you're thinking of the Arthurian legend, a watery
Yeah, well, I
bank
was
passing
thinking
out
of Monty
swords.
Python and the Holy
Yeah.
Grail, but I guess it all goes back to the Arthurian legend, yeah.
Okay. So Haley Latham Illingworth, she'd arrived to the Olympic Peninsula about 3 years earlier, and she'd gone through two failed marriages.
Okay,
Again,
that is unfortunate.
this is the late 30s, so not the best of times to have a couple notches on your belt.
Yeah, to be
She'd
a single
been,
lady.
yep, January 8th, she's born 1901. She's born to a farm couple in Greensville, Kentucky. And she's a young adult when she kept repeatedly moving west and she's searching for a better life. And somehow
Okay,
she finds herself west of West at the Crescent Lake Tavern. It's now called Lake Crescent Lodge. So if you're there, you
okay.
know. Okay. And it's here that she met a dude named Monty Illingsworth, and he becomes her third husband, June 16th, 1936.
Okay, let's do
Now,
it.
they apparently did not have the best of marriages. The word
Shocking.
used to describe it as volatile.
Okay.
Um, and she had the habit of choosing the wrong man, as indicated by two failed marriages. Now, Monty, he has this habit of not hiding the fact that he's a wife beater.
Oh, good for him. At least he's doing it out in the open. That
He's
makes it
living
better.
his authentic life.
Truly.
And so she comes to work with bruises and black eyes.
Oh,
And
okay.
she confides to a coworker that Monty had choked her and broken one of her teeth. Super
Oh,
chill. Super chill.
okay.
Now, 5 months into their marriage, so the honeymoon phase came and went pretty quickly.
Clearly, yeah.
They get into a pre-dawn fight so fierce the police are called to break it up.
Okay.
Pre-dawn, which either means you fought all night long or you woke up with a passion.
Yeah, okay.
And Hallie shows up for work at a Port Angeles restaurant with bruises on her face and arms. And then the holidays approach in 1937, and she disappears.
I was hoping she was gonna leave him.
Yeah, we don't get to stories like Lady of the Lake with this kind of opening and you thinking that she's going to make it out alive.
I mean, yeah. I guess that's true. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm just here for the realism. And it's the night and morning of December 21st, 22nd that she just turns up missing. It's sometime in that time frame, right? Monty, he starts telling friends that his wife had run off with a sailor from Alaska.
Okay. Is that like common? Do we get a lot of sailors from Alaska in this area?
I can't say that I've been to Olympic National Park and asked around, but
Okay.
I'm not that close to the northern
Oh,
part of Washington.
yeah. I'm just thinking it, okay, because this is gonna sound dumb, but in the book I just read, multiple women run off with Spanish sailors because they dock in Boston.
Okay, you know what? Yeah,
So I was
okay.
thinking, oh, I wonder if this is like a commonality at the time during the time, like just
Maybe,
run
I
off
don't
with the handsome
know.
sailor.
Yeah.
Okay.
But either way, months go by. Her close-knit family, they haven't heard a damn thing from her.
I hate this.
Yep. And there's a bunch of suspicion, but Monty is granted a divorce in 1938. And it's here that he moves to California with the roommate of Hallie's sister.
So Hallie's sister's roommate.
Yes?
I hate
Yes.
that. Okay. All right.
You said that, and I had to like go back through and draw a diagram. Like, what am I talking about? Yeah.
What's the family tree here?
Now, apparently, it was rumored that he'd been seeing her romantically, biblically, before Hallie's disappearance.
So he's a philanthropist in not that
Philanderer,
way. Philanderer.
philanderer, not a philanthropist. He's
You can
not
see how
giving
it
money to
happens.
charities. He's
Or
giving
he
other
is.
things.
I was gonna say, or he's giving money to charity. That could be her name.
That could be her name.
Anyway, carry on.
Okay, but it's then on July 6th, 1940, almost 3 years after she disappears, that two fishermen spotted the body of a woman, the Lady of the Lake, floating on the surface of Lake Crescent.
Mm,
Now, the body's taken to Port Angeles, and that's where a young medical student, Harlan McNutt, examined it. He noted the upper part of her face, her upper lip, and her nose are gone, and that's because her hands and so little bits are exposed, fingertips are exposed as well. And so it seems that there's a little bit of predation and that, but she's remarkably well preserved. So
okay.
there's a little bit of an issue because there's an unusual state to this corpse. The dead woman's flesh had turned into something like ivory soap, McNutt described.
Like, okay,
Like
okay.
it had gone through this condition known as sapification.
Oh, that's a word. All right.
Yeah. So just in case you're wondering, under the right conditions, you too can become soap.
I'm good. I'm so good. I don't want to be soap.
Yeah, like Fight Club, but meets true crime.
Great.
Yeah. And okay, so Crescent Lake's depth isn't known with any certainty, but there's parts that are likely deeper than 1,000 feet. And so the body had been submerged in the deep waters of the lake, and the cold had prevented decomposition. And then there's salts and calcium in the water that slowly converted the tissue into a mineral-like soap called adipocere. I probably said that wrong. And it's just like soap. And the body, when converted in this matter, floats. And so even though it had been
Oh,
weighed
okay.
down, there's ropes that had been connecting to the weights, and eventually those ropes decayed, and that caused the body to just go right up.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So because, there's a couple issues on the face, there was no ability for facial recognition or fingerprints, they were able to make a positive ID on the body as Haley Illingworth had, because of her physical match, she had hair color, they had dental records.
That's amazing.
Okay, and see, like, side story. When I had to have a little bit of oral surgery, they gave me laughing gas.
Hmm.
And as they're waiting for it to kick in, I probably scared the bejesus out of the poor tech in the room with me because I said, "Hey," he's like, "Do you have any questions for me?" I was like, "I do. Is there a database for all of our dental records to go in that maybe corresponds with missing persons so that you guys could like match dental records like on a national level? Like I'm thinking like DNA, like fingerprint, like
Yeah. I
and
thought there was.
there's not.
Oh.
And
So
so
what, you just
here
call every dentist in town?
you have to know, hey, my wife Teresa's missing. Great. Can I get a hold? Who is her dentist's name? Can I get those records signed over and then can we upload it and then manually test? Not like, hey,
Wow.
we've got a
Okay.
Jane Doe. We're going to run her teeth against the record.
Okay. That's insane. I thought it was a national database.
It should be.
Agreed.
Okay, but there's not. But anyhow, they're able to match our girl Haley
Okay.
because of dental records.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a visual inspection of the body, and then they also have a subsequent autopsy. This kind of gives more detail. They're able, despite the fact this body is nearly 3 years old and has, just been lost, they're able to see that she met this super violent death. Her neck is bruised, it's discolored. Her chest shows evidence of extensive hemorrhaging.
Oh,
It showed that
okay.
she'd been beaten and strangled. And though that there was little with which to make an identification, the body had a distinctive upper dental plate. And that's the clue that they were able to use to hunt down who she was and then subsequently back to her killer.
Wow, okay.
So they're able to get a hold of a South Dakota dentist who identified the dental plate as one that he'd made for her several years before.
Okay.
So again, that's like having to be like, okay, and who is her dentist? Oh, I have to like go from Washington,
6 states away.
yeah,
Okay.
to,
Yeah,
some podunk
okay.
town to find this. Okay. Now, they also have another clue. The police had the rope that was used to tie down to the weights. The rope was peculiar to Sears and Roebuck. And through
Okay.
receipts, they were able to track it down to the tavern owner who had bought it to tie up boats. And the tavern owner, he remembers that a beer salesman had borrowed about 100 feet of rope to pull his truck out of the mud, but he never returned the rope.
That is wild. Like, so much rope is probably bought and sold through Sears at the time that you would be able to match that back that way.
And do you know who the beer salesman was?
Her husband.
Monty. Yeah.
'Cause it always is.
It's always the husband.
I'm devastated. Like, I really wanted it to not be this time.
Yeah. When it's not, it makes news, but it's the husband. So the investigators, they close in on Monty, who's living in Long Beach, California, and on October 26th, 1941, he's arrested and taken into custody by LA sheriff's deputies. It's not long after he's charged with murder, brought back to Port Angeles, and put on trial for Haley's murder in Clallam County Superior Court. The trial begins February 24th, 1942, and was so sensational that it compete with news from the front lines of World War II.
Wow. I mean, yeah.
I mean, you find this nearly perfectly preserved body that's turned to soap.
Yeah.
It's got
You'd
like
think it would have
what?
been smart of him to join the military. He would have been able to like, I don't know,
But I'm
been busy.
assuming he's probably a little bit too old.
Oh yeah.
You got to wait for the war to get going a little bit where we're really needing troops.
Yeah.
And
That's
at this
fair.
point, it's like, how are your knees? You look like your knees
Yeah.
hurt. Your knees hurt? Yeah, we don't need you.
You can stay home a little longer.
Yeah. So the trial developments are splashed across the front pages of local newspapers daily, daily. Like this was the O.J. Simpson trial of the time. Spectators are arriving early. We've got homemakers, teenagers, and just your standard true crime lovers that are in the courtroom for this 9-day trial.
Okay.
And Monty's defense is that the dead woman, not Haley. He swears she's alive. Last time I saw her, she was alive.
Where'd you see her last time then, bub?
As I tied the weights to her and dropped her into the lake. Oh, I'm sorry. Strike that from record. I didn't mean to say that.
Oh, those were my inside thoughts.
The dentist from South Dakota, he's a credible witness, and he insisted that the dental plate is Hallie's. There's no way, no ands, if, or buts. That's hers. I made it. That's hers. Moreover, her friends identify the clothes worn by the dead woman belonged to Hallie. And the key evidence of that rope? Yep, Monty had borrowed 50 feet of rope from the storekeeper at the lake, and the store still had remnants of the rope, and the fibers matched.
Wow. Monty really did himself in, didn't he?
Yep. So it took the jurors 4 hours to reach a verdict, and on March 5th, 1942, the jury found Illingsworth guilty of second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment at Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla. And he served 9 years in prison. He's paroled in 1951, and he died November 5th, 1974, in Los Alamitos, California.
Mm.
I don't like that he had several years out, but I mean, okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, what'd you get out on parole for?
I mean, and he was only in 9 years.
Your crimes were violent, bub. You're not rehabilitated from that,
Yep. Now,
especially not in the 40s and 50s.
you would think,
Yeah.
but either way, it's just we really need a lot of reform here, but these are things. There's a contemporary of Haley's that later observed that her murder was probably not premeditated. They probably got into their standard fight in their apartment in December of that 1937 night, and it probably took a violent turn as per usual and then escalated, and he probably strangled her to death. Hollis Foltz, a criminologist at Washington State Attorney General's office who'd helped investigate the murder, he maintained that Monty tried to conceal the crime by placing his wife's lifeless body in the trunk of his car and driving to Lake Crescent. Monty then stopped in the vicinity of the present day log cabin resort and wrapped his wife's body in blankets and tied the bundle with a rope. He then put the body in a rowboat, attached weights to the bundle, rowed into deep water, and then dropped the bundle into dark waters. And then the rumors started circling during the murder investigation that Monty didn't act alone, but no one other than Monty was ever charged with the crime.
Oh, so he has an accomplice.
Maybe, but I
I
think
hate
probably
this.
not. I'm going to assume there is no accomplice, that was just a rumor.
Like, we didn't check out the tavern guy wasn't involved.
I mean, I'm sure we probably checked out. We couldn't find anything, but we're like, this was so heinous, we have to have more people involved.
Yeah, we've learned that that's not in fact the case.
Right. Now, It's rumored that her ghost lingers near Devil's Punch Bowl, which is a popular swimming spot along
Oh,
this.
I'm familiar with Devil's Punch Bowl.
There you go.
I mean,
This
if
is
I was gonna
along,
haunt something,
I mean, at least go somewhere pretty, right?
yeah.
And this is kind of the area where her body's found that was wrapped in blankets and tied with rope. And then visitors to the area have reported seeing a spectral figure gliding across the water or simply standing on the shoreline at dusk.
Oh.
Sometimes people will hear faint cries or muffled screams at night. Now, I'm going to call hogwash there because we've got cougars,
I was just thinking that exact same thing.
and boy, like there was one time Hubs and I got into a discussion about what a cougar sounds like. And I said that it's terrifying. It sounds like a woman screaming. It's like if you hear it, no, you didn't.
Yeah, don't go out and check.
And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I pull up YouTube videos with the sounds, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, no, 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 I'm good. I'm good."
hmm
So yeah, there's that. We've got that going for us. There's also reports of sudden cold spots on summer days, which
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about cold spots, but I'd be like, "Hey, look, an air conditioned spot on a 100-degree day. I'm going to maintain here. You guys carry on."
I think I'll sit with this ghost. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're having a nice chill. I'm getting my water bottle
Quite
out,
literally.
going to have my granola bar. You go on
hmm
ahead. Don't sit too
I'll
close
wait.
to me.
It's
I'm
fine.
hot. Now, visitors to the area, oh, I already said that. At the infamous Lake Crescent Lodge where Hallie once worked, guests and staff have reported eerie conditions. They've experienced flickering lights, unexplained footprints or footsteps, and doors locking and unlocking on their own.
Okay.
And then Hallie isn't the only one that was found in the waters in Lake Crescent. In 2002, a Chevy was pulled from the water, revealing the bodies of a couple who went missing in 1929.
So the
So,
Chevy and the couple were recovered?
yep,
That is
like, yeah.
insane. Were they also soap?
Um, Unclear. It's not said. So maybe it doesn't say that they
Okay.
weren't soap.
Okay.
But that really kind of makes me interested because it's not like I could find all of these reports of like, hey, these strange things happened, and then I
Right.
found out that there was a ghost. It seemed like we'd all heard this story, and then we went there and we saw the ghost.
So we sort of made ourselves believe that the ghost is there.
That's kind of what I'm feeling
Yeah.
because nobody was claiming to see the ghost before she turned up.
Yeah, that checks. That checks. But that's how urban legends start, though, right?
That's
Like,
the truth. I mean, we hear this horrible thing happened, and then we go out and we like, oh my gosh, I see the pattern. I see the thing. I feel the breeze. This is a cold spot, ergo ghost.
always, you know?
But the fact that it turned into soap, that was like one of the craziest things that I.
Yeah, that's not an end I want to meet.
So when you grab a bar of soap that had been sitting submerged in the water too long and it's a bit spongy,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm here
You
for
want to hear
you.
about torturing with boots again? Like make me feel better
Um,
about things.
I don't know if either of us had the ability to really end the story, and so I'm grateful we both took a swing and failed two times.
Consider it a win. We did it. I'm
We
not
did
even going to
something.
apologize to our listeners this time.
No, you know what? It's spooky season. Tune in next month.
Be spooky.
And on that note, goodbye.
Bye.